What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Holly Jolly episode of the Center Beacon. I am your host. You can call me Warlock, just like my children do. Okay, so what are we talking about today? If you've been playing at all lately, since a couple patches ago, I believe, you're seeing a lot of Aphids. A lot of Aphids coming up over them buildings and over them thar hills. And so I thought I'd take a look at two platforms to run the Aphids off of. These are two pretty common ones. There are others, but you see these a lot. The Gepard and the Patton. That's right, Aphid Showdown. Gepard versus Patton. And then if I had the ability, like a really cool graphic would drop in and like maybe explode or something. But I don't have that, so we're just going to do it this way. So we're going to go through just, some clips here and there of gameplay with Aphids on the Gepard, Aphids on the Patton, and just going to kind of talk about some things and the differences and the advantages. I find that the two are really well balanced against one another. Even though, you've got the Patton here, more hit points, slower. You got the Gepard, fewer hit points, faster, nimble. So it's actually like a really neat comparison. Like I said, I know there are other bots. You can 3 Aphids on a Leo is popular too. But I'm going to look at these for this video and hopefully help you guys kind of decide what you might like to run. If you're kind of going back and forth, what do I do? Do I level that like level 2 Gepard that I stopped playing with 6 months ago, or do I stick with the Patton? What do I do? So to get things started here, we're just going to dress up my Patton a little bit. Bought this skin a while back, I think during Halloween time. But basically, if you put a skull on something, I'm going to buy it. I'm that type of guy. So here we're going to bring up a graphic real quick just to kind of show you the values for the various levels and what you can expect. Now, my robots and weapons are not maxed for these setups, but you can reference these charts here and take a look at what you're getting at what levels. The one thing I will note, though, potential aphid damage for a Patton, almost 70,000 damage. Pretty significant. And that's one of the major considerations when deciding which one of these robots, which one of these platforms do I want to run. So almost 70,000 damage if everything lands with the Patton, whereas you have the Gepard a little over 50,000. With the 3 Aphids on the Gepard, a little over 50,000 damage. So you can see, there's not quite a 20,000 point difference there. And then in the clips that I'm going to show you, you can kind of see how that sort of plays out. So, and that's if everything lands. You got to remember with Aphids, especially on small, quick bots, they don't all hit. So, you're going to be dealing with a percentage of that potential damage. Now, here you can see level 9 Patton. I got the two on the top are level 12, and the 2 on the sides are level 7. I've since leveled those a little bit since this video was taken, but if you're rocking all 12s, then kudos to you. You're going to have some fun with this thing. You saw that last little... I'll show you this again in some other clips, but why did I fire off one salvo? I do that as like a... you'll see that... it's not like I invented it, but, people will do it who are... They're kind of probing. You want to see... can I land these things on the target? And you don't want to waste them all in order to do it. You want to make sure that you're going to get good effects and that he's not behind some cover. Because with the Aphids, a lot of times, the target is actually obscured from your vision, and you're trying to sneak these things up over, some type of obstacle or piece of terrain. So I like to just let one go and kind of see, okay, do I get the red cursor? Oh, I did. Then I'll let the others go. And there'll be plenty more clips, and I'll give you a couple other little quick tips on rockets, missiles in general, but little things that like a lot of high-end players, guys that are really smart with this game, stuff that you'll see them do that's pretty helpful. And a lot of people know this stuff, but maybe somebody doesn't, so that's who I'm trying to help. So this is a pretty decent spot for this Patton Aphid, or I should say Aphid Patton. You see that guy try to take a piece of me, but he missed. Decent spot. You got a lot of cover. There I am probing again. Okay, probed with that other one. Nothing there. Didn't land, and then I've still got 2 left in reserve, and I did get effects on that target. So that's kind of one of the advantages of probing. Otherwise, I would have been, rounds out for that little engagement and maybe not able to finish this guy off. So somebody catches me with something there. I think somebody nailed me with a trident or something exploded at my feet. But this is a decent spot, and so are the spots if you were to basically go around to my right here. If you could make your way up that alley and get into those little kind of intermediate pieces of cover that sort of bisect the center area of Dead City here. Those are also pretty sweet pieces of cover. You can duck behind those, and if a guy has like a direct fire weapon, which means that he has to shoot it straight at you, I can't get you. And then meanwhile, you're sending all your, beautiful, hate and death here up over the sides of cover, and you can really wreck shop with this thing. I've played against a lot of really good players. They're way, way, way better than with this thing than I am. And, I've seen them, they'll last 8-9 minutes in a game with this thing. Just murdering people, just brutalizing, robots and stuff around them with this thing. And, the Patton is not as quick as the Gepard, but it's still pretty quick. You can see, I'm kind of going left and right there. You can see the torso and the legs. They respond pretty quickly. Ooh, I've got a partner. So here's another guy running something similar. Don't know what levels he had, but especially if you get two of these guys, you get a that was a really poor shot on my part, but you get a two Pattons like this in a scenario like this. I mean, absolutely brutal. With the I showed you guys the damage earlier, potential damage if these are all maxed. I think just over 70,000. For most bots in the game, that's if you get all or most of them to land, that's half their health. So you gotta kind of take that into consideration. That is a pretty epic first strike or quick strike. Especially if you get into a position like here's that position that I was telling you about earlier. This is also another really good spot. Now, if I get flanked by that rhino on the right, it's not going to be so good. But you can see there, 2 12s and 2 7s as far as levels on the Aphids go. Landed on that guy. I think some of them hit his cover and actually got some pretty good effects on him. And this is not even a maxed platform. If you max this thing out, and there are a lot of guys out there that have it maxed, it's so nasty. So here we're going to switch over to the canyon map. So on this map, this is not like my favorite map for this setup. I was trying to save ammo there, and it totally missed. I don't know if that was, I think that was a stalker or something. Generally, I don't shoot these things at light bots unless you have like no choice. If you're dealing with a Gareth or like a Gepard, a stalker, they're real tough to hit because those bots are so nimble and they're so small. They have very tiny cross sections, and the Aphids do not land on them very well at all. That Leo, on the other hand, oh yeah, big fat juicy target, and you can see I'm getting pretty decent effects on that guy. Considering the levels that I'm running here. And then now I'm going to get annihilated by whatever that was. So, but so save them for the big, fat, slow bots. And if you're not picking it up in these clips here already, try to lead them. You'll start to kind of get used to how these things kind of, when you let these bad boys off the chain, you want to kind of lead them so they kind of hook around into the target bot. You can see here, I think I'm going to try to put another salvo on this guy up here. And you're going to want to kind of get over to the side there. You let that thing go, and you can kind of sneak him in there. So I don't think I actually took credit for that kill, but that's the idea, is that you want to try to kind of hook these guys in around cover. And the really cool thing about the Aphid is that a lot of times, even if the cover catches a lot of the rockets, if, say, a shielded bot, if the shield catches it, depending on the angle, you're still going to get pretty acceptable splash damage effect on the target. I've had several instances where I didn't, I pretty much like 80% of it missed, but the 20% that landed and hit the obstruction, you're still getting splash effect on the target. And if you've got somebody who's crippled or nearly destroyed, it can be enough to do the job. So, keep that in mind too, that you might not get it all in there, but it may do more than you think. Surprisingly. So this is a great map for this setup. This ramp position right here, worked this all day. This is a really great spot. Very difficult to counter, again, unless somebody else comes over here with Aphids or you get flanked. Now, obviously, if red team, they rush this thing with 3-4 bots, you're probably going to get shoved out of there. But if your flanks are secure and there's no organized effort to come up the ramp. I mean, you can just rain these things all day. It's a great setup. And I really, where I'm at right here, I think we were in fairly, I felt pretty good about this game. I think they have already mech'd out a couple of guys. So, I push up here. If it's still even and the other team is like, knows what they're doing, I'll just hang back on that ramp. Now, you can see a lot of that went behind that guy. You got to lead the target. That was a bad shot on my part. You want to get out. See how my cursor is to the left of the lock-on? You want to get out there, whichever direction they're moving to. See, I quickly adjusted on that last shot there because he started moving the other way. So give yourself a half second, see which direction the target's moving, and then lead him. So switching over to power plant. This clip, obviously I'm already crippled. I was just kind of giving you an idea of even crippled, you don't necessarily have to dump this bot. It's a support bot. You're not supposed to be in there going toe-to-toe with, every Rhino and Lancelot that comes around the corner. Hang back, retreat, get out of the way, especially the Thunder Carnage. Thunder Carnages are one of, the absolute, worst bots to go up against in this thing. You want to get away from those things. They will chew you up real quick, and I've got a couple more clips in this series where that's exactly what they do. So don't mess with those guys. You want to use cover, you want to retreat. But just, again, you're going to see here, this guy tries to get me there. Still pretty mobile in this thing. And then, boom, I land some damage. You can see, what is that, like maybe a quarter almost of that guy's health right there. Now, granted, I'm on my way to the robot graveyard in the sky, but, that's an extra, I don't know, tens of thousands of damage right there just off of 2 Aphids remaining. So this is another great spot to milk here on Dead City. You can kind of keep just throwing these things over cover. You are, kind of obscured from these guys trying to cross through the middle. And that guy actually caught me pretty good right there. I can't remember this game exactly. I think there might have been a lag spike or something, but it was one of those where it's like, okay, he fired, I'm good. And then half second later, oh, okay, 3/4 of my health's gone. So back to power plant. Back to power plant here. And this is just going to be kind of like a quick series showing you the mobility of this guy. You can go get beacons with this thing. It doesn't have to be, if I'm not running like a stalker, Aphid stalker or Aphid Gepard, I don't need to cap. No, cap beacons with this thing. I believe maxed out. This guy's like 40 kilometers an hour. Whatever that means. Maybe somebody from Europe can help me out. But I think it's pretty fast. But you certainly can cap with this bot. So it's a really kind of interesting debate. Do I want the Gepard and lesser firepower, or do I want the Patton, more firepower but not quite the mobility of the Gepard? And when I get to the Gepard, I'm going to speed things up here, so I'll talk really fast. Okay, here we go. We're going around the corner. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to keep doing that. It's super annoying. But when I get to the Gepard, I'll talk about the Gepard's speed and a couple other factors that go beyond speed of why he's a good choice as well. And after I finished cutting together all of this video, I was really, I thought I knew which one I wanted to run. But after kind of going, because I walked through the video clips and I kind of re-examined, the matches and the battles. And honestly, at the end of this thing, I was kind of like, oh man, geez, both of these are really, really nice. So there you can see I hit too far behind. I didn't lead him enough because I was worried about his shield. I think that was a lance. And I didn't want it, even though the lance's shield is really, more frontally oriented, I didn't want it to catch the shield, but I ended up throwing him too far behind the guy. So here I'm going to get another chance at this guy that's going to, I think it's a Rhino, he's going to cross in front. And I want to try to lead him. And, you can see I clip him a little bit, but it looked like almost half of them landed right behind him. And then you're getting those mitigated effects. You're getting splash damage to an extent, but you're not getting the full brunt of those aphids. So here another nasty one that'll tear you up quicker than you can believe. I think that was a plasma griffin. Obviously any plasma that gets near you, you need to get away from those guys and get to some form of cover, and then just keep doing this right here where you just keep throwing these bad boys. Pay attention to the angle too, because low buildings like this are great to send the aphids sailing over to. So pay attention to distance you are from the cover or the obstruction and the height of the thing, and you'll kind of start to get used to what it'll clear and what it won't clear. Okay, so taking you back to the graphic again real quick, because I'm going to switch gears over to the Gepard now that we've seen the Patton. And I'm going to throw up this again. Remember, almost 70,000 damage, potential damage, if you're running the Patton. That's what you're kind of, gaining or giving up there. And then you can see the Patton maxed out. Looks like, what is that, like 127,000 hit points or thereabouts. And the Gepard is, I think, maxes out, what does it say? Let me get real close. I think it's like 87,000. But for damage, almost 52,000 in potential damage if they all hit on the Gepard. So that's going to be kind of like the back of the napkin or back of the envelope math that you're going to be doing. I don't really think, does a napkin have a back? I don't really think that's the case. But back of the envelope math, that's what you're kind of balancing there. Speed and hit points versus firepower, the age-old question. So here we are on typically not a good map for these setups. This is a map where if you did want to run Aphids, a Gepard would be a great choice because there's a lot of open ground to cover, and the Gepard will do it really quickly. Top speed, 58 kilometers an hour ish, I think. I'm pretty sure that's right. And so this guy will get around. So if you do have a lot of ground to cover, this is an excellent option. And you can see here I'm playing tag with this Rhino. And he knows he's kind of boned here. There's not a lot he can do. He's got that shield up, and depending on the angle I hit him from, his shield is going to catch most of these. So I move in like a little bit too soon here, just, tactics-wise, and I eat a lot of plasma. But at this point, we're way behind on beacons, so if I have to sacrifice this guy, at this point, time is more important than hit points, just as far as like a little tactical breakdown on that particular scenario. But you can kind of see how he did against that Rhino. There's no way that guy's catching me around these buildings because not only is the Gepard really fast, he has a great top speed, he's very nimble. You can see the torso and the legs, they respond instantly, and you're headed in the next direction very, very quickly, much more rapidly than I think almost any other bot. I mean, there may be a couple that are comparable. So there are some examples. Why did I include these craptacular salvos here going into the buildings? To give you an idea of how not to shoot these things. Those buildings are too tall and the target's too far away. The Aphids want to follow this kind of parabolic arc and go up and follow a certain flight path. And those are not good spots to employ these weapons because those buildings are just way too big. You got to get in by something lower. So here, again, we're kind of behind on beacons. I'm just going to throw myself into the middle here and see if I can potentially finish off this Lancelot. So he's bladed to me. I think I can get some effects on him, and I think I take him out right there. So back to Springfield. And I keep throwing up these graphics on the levels because when these videos were taken, some of the levels were different. So that's why you're getting them. If you're like, dude, I know it's a level 6 Gepard. It does actually change on some of these clips. So I wanted it to be as accurate as possible so you guys can see what you're getting. So, okay, so here is like, this is Black Death. You don't want any part of this guy right here. Fortunately, I've got some buddies just eating this dude's lunch. So I'm going to survive this encounter, but barely. But the Carnages are so quick. Remember, when Carnages sprint, they are the fastest bot in the game for that 10 seconds. And I know that seems insane, and maybe people forget that. But they can get around. If they're in closing distance with you, they can get around in a hurry. And they will wreck your Gepard. If they sprint and are within a certain range, they will get to you, and those double thunders will just, eat your face. So stay away from those guys. Use cover best you can. Power plant again. This is a really good map for this bot and obviously this weapon. This is one of those where you can find yourself, I think I've capped sometimes like 7 beacons on this map because the thing just went back and forth. You can see right there, I got that guy in the alley. That is a great spot. Think of that alley as like a big, just like a big target area. If a guy is in the middle of that thing, just dump your Aphids into there because at this angle they will pretty much all land right on top of them. In that alley also, if red team has that thing, it's usually going to be occupied, and you can do yourself, kind of like a double service by those Aphids landing on top of multiple bots. Now here, if you can see that guy that, I sent my Aphids over there, those may not have even impacted him anyways, because if he's right up against that structure, chances are the Aphids are going to clip the kind of like the roof line of that structure You might get a little splash, but those are usually, I don't like to send those if I can help it. So kind of bear that in mind. The more you play with it, the more you'll kind of start to get used to the range, the arc. You can see there, it ain't going over top of that thing at that distance. So, you really kind of need to run these. There is definitely a learning curve that you want to get used to, because you don't want to waste them. Now, the good thing is the thing reloads every 10 seconds, which is pretty epic. Over here, this is a great spot to steal this beacon from. Now, that's their spawn, and you don't want to be in a direct line of fire from there, but if you just kind of get to the corner of this building, it'll take their spawn beacon. So, really good spot, and then you can, make the capture. And if you can get off the wall here, in my case, and then not be penned in by your broski there, you can, decide where else to throw these aphids. There goes that alley again. That's a great target. What was that, like a golem or something? A golem is a nice, fat, juicy target for these things. He has no natural protection, no natural mitigation. So he's just going to eat these aphids all day long. And then this rhino has had enough of me, so he's going to come around the corner here. But you can see, if I don't want him to, he is not going to catch me. Now, fortunately, my buddy takes him out. I think there's some threat behind me, too, that I'm pretty much just ignoring. But if I don't want that rhino to get me, he ain't coming around that corner. I can get away. So, one of the things that you kind of want to think about when you move in to cover, think about how you're going to move back out. It's kind of like how they say, like when you go through the woods or something, turn around every once in a while, if you're on a hike, and look at what's behind you, because that's what it's going to look like on the way back through, so you can kind of pick up landmarks, etc. So think about when you proceed into, hey, I'm going to put my bot into this position, I'm going to move into this cover. Think about the way out for when that rhino does come around the corner. All of a sudden the side that you're on starts to, the red starts to make a push to that side. Try to bear that in mind and have a plan in the back of your head of where I can back out to. I can back out to this piece of cover here, and then I can go around the corner of this one there, and that's my escape plan. And that's the kind of the thing to remember. You're not in a brawler here. You're in a very light and vulnerable support bot. So you got to kind of, you got to play it. You got to play shifty. So here, this is not playing shifty. This is playing very aggressively and arguably stupidly. But I saw that beacon. I figured I'd come out here and grab it. I felt like we were in pretty good control of that game. And that griffin did take me out, but it was worth it to me to cripple him. And I think this was like my first bot. So, those are, judgments you can kind of make on your own. Sometimes I'll sacrifice the bot. First bot, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll burn this guy up. We're up 4 beacons to 1, and I can cripple a griffin while I'm at it. I'll just go get another bot and come back here in a second, especially on a small map. Bigger map might be some, different decision. The Thunder Leo with the magnums, also, he'll eat your face, so be careful. So that's why I'm using the cover. And then, my friend, the Russian Death Button Griffin, sneaks up behind me to say hello. And you can see right there, it's 2 12s and a level 7, and eats almost half that guy's Griffin. Now, obviously, that Griffin probably isn't even maxed or anything, but you can see I'm kind of getting the better of this exchange. And this guy is going to decide he's had enough, and he's going to dump his bot here. So he's out of the fight there, and that's kind of your mission. The protecting the center here. Yeah, I mean, actually it's red, so we're not really protecting it. But what I'm trying to do is make sure these guys don't go meet my buddies at full health, and that's really your mission in any kind of support bot role. You do not want, at the front lines, you do not want these guys meeting up with your bros at full strength. And it's, it's a pretty simple formula. It's, easier said than done sometimes. So maybe I should have gone around the other side to help my buddy over on that side, but I kind of wanted to throw some anger into the center there. Switching back to power plant again, this is a really great map for this setup and this bot. You can see that Galahad. That's another good choice if you want to throw some aphids on your Galahad and combine that with either the Orkin or the Terran. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's a really pretty solid setup. So you can see he's doing the same thing that I'm doing there. He didn't get any effects there because that guy is kind of defolated from him behind that barrier there. So that's not a real good angle. And then they've got their own aphid storm coming over the side, but those guys in the center are vulnerable. And then right there is a great shot of how when you start moving and that guy's throwing aphids to where you were, the Gepard has the speed and the quickness to get out of the way, and he only nicked me up just a tiny bit. So, that's kind of some of the trade-off, when you're deciding, do I want to max the Patton? Do I want to max the Gepard? The Gepard will definitely get out of the way of other Aphids and, other things that splash damage, that generate splash damage much, much quicker than the Patton. But then again, you hit harder with the Patton. So it's really kind of user preference. I'm not really going to conclude the video and say hey, this is the best one, because there's, with a lot of things in this game, there's really not a one size fits all solution. Depends on your playstyle, depends on what you want to do. If you like to cap more, the Gepard. If that's maybe you've got a defined responsibility, on your team, in your clan, and you want to cap beacons, run the Gepard. If you want to throw a little bit more hate and anger down range at the enemy, then run the Patton. I did not mean to fall off the platform in this clip. I forgot where the edge was, so that I wanted to go around the building and I fell off. But fortunately, my buddy's there to help me out and get rid of that deadly thunder carnage. So that is about the extent of this video. I kind of wanted to give you guys a good comparison. So if you guys are out there kind of shopping and trying to think, what do I want to put my Aphids on? Hopefully this video will kind of help you get an idea. Usually what ends up happening is you'll see these clips and you'll go oh man, I like the way that Gepard was looking. That was looking pretty strong. Or oh man, that Patton, when you get all 4 of those Aphids to land, that thing's pretty wicked. So again, here with this speed, I can come out here and try to cap this beacon. Now I think these guys are going to eat me up, but before they do, I actually cap that beacon. And that's something that, maybe in the Patton, I didn't get away from that Thunder Plasma Leo back there. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope this helps you guys. Please tell me what you think in the comments. And as always, thank you for liking and subscribing and continuing to support my channel. I really do appreciate it. It's very humbling. And as always, I will see you next time at the Center Beacon.